Good evening and welcome to another episode. Don't forget, guys, if you got any questions or anything, put it in your right hand corner. And also, anybody on the radio who's listening, can you please leave any comments or anything? Just kind of like text me and prove, which is on 78866. Okay, thank you very much. Um, okay, I think what we're going to do today, I think we're going to talk to Magan about our mental health and about everybody's mental health because we're going through a bad time, and hopefully very soon, we're coming out of COVID, and we're just going to come out of COVID, and what's next, basically, you know. Hello, Megan. How are you?
I'm not bad. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. So, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You have you been through mental illness yourself, then?
Yeah, so I've struggled really, really badly with anxiety and depression for a while. I think ever since I was like 16. And I'm only 22 now. But I've had quite a lot of issues. When I was younger, I had a few suicidal tendencies. I've gone to the doctors. I've been prescribed medication. I've done pretty much everything under the book. I've done mindfulness, CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, and so I've been through quite a lot.
Right. Okay. And let's start from the beginning then. So what made you kind of like suicidal?
So I think I was just coming out of my GCSEs and things, and the stress of exams and that at such a young age can bring a lot of pressure. I think that, and then you splitting away from your friendship groups that you had in high school to go to college, and it was a lot of different things, and the angst of waiting for my exam results. Like, I kept thinking that I was a failure, that I wasn't going to do very well. So that just kind of kept eating away at me, really, and that's really what happened. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And what did you actually do to did you actually commit suicide or?
So no, I near enough did. I managed, I had family who who came in the room before it was too late, So that was only one time really that I've done it, because I scared. The whole thought behind it is, you don't feel like you're worth being here and things, and that last moment where your mind is still working, that it's still trying to fight it, I think is quite scary, but like freeing at the same time. So I had that fear alongside obviously wanting to do it, and I think with family being around and being there at the time, it really did help.
Yeah. And how are you now?
I'm still working on it. I'm not, the suicidal tendencies went away with a lot of counselling and mindfulness, meditation, all that kind of thing, and trying to keep myself positive. Mental health, probably as everyone's finding at the moment with COVID, has been really, really hard. I just actually got back last week after being off work for a month due to mental health.
Right.
Just because, there's a lot of pressure with COVID and the lockdown, and I was me and my partner had just like got our first place together. So there was a lot of pressure, on a relationship and having to be with somebody every day. And I think a lot of people are going through that as well.
Right. Okay. So, and how is your partner coping?
I think my partner doesn't really understand mental health as such. He's one of those people that he's very logical. He has to have an answer for everything. And a lot of people who probably struggle with mental health, there is no logic behind it. There is no simple fix in it. And it wasn't the most supportive, because he just said, this is what you need to do. You just need to think positive, or you just need to do this, or you just need to do that, and it'll fix it. And again, that kind of caused a lot of strain on the relationship, because I just didn't feel like I was being understood as such.
Yeah. Is he understanding you now or no?
It's one of those things. He is being more patient. He's being a lot. He's trying to understand in his own way. He's read resources and things, but again, when you're going through it and when you're reading it is completely different. So when I've read resources when my anxiety hasn't been that bad, and I've read these resources that go, oh, you just need to make a slight change, and that's it, and you just gradually grow. But when you're actually going through it, again, that logic doesn't hit. Well, actually, if I do this, it'll make me better, because you're
Yeah.
so you're so stuck in it.
That's it, isn't it? We all, I've been through it myself, and tried committing suicide. It's not fun, and the trouble is when you kind of like, when you're stuck in a rut, and and if what you've got to do is, well, what I did was when I tried to commit suicide, I landed myself into a hospital because I was not safe. You know what I mean? To be around
Hmm.
with,
Yeah.
you know.
I think, yeah, I just don't think there's enough support for people who go through this.
Yeah,
Nobody really goes out of their way to try and understand. It's only when they're in it. I think if more people actually understood, like, the feeling of anxiety, or understood what anxiety actually is, it would help a lot more people be comfortable to actually talking about it.
yeah, yeah. I totally understand. Yeah, I remember kind of like, being kind of like sectioned into the 20, section 21 of the Mental Health Act.
Hmm.
When I was trying jumping off a bridge, and it was all in the media, and it was really tough. It was a tough time, and I think sometimes, so when we go to the doctor and we say, "Oh, we got a mental health problem,"
Hmm.
right? The doctor thinks, "Oh, yeah, you're all right," but the trouble is, the doctor, they can only describe you drugs and medication and stuff. They don't.
Hmm.
They can't tell you what the diagnosis is of you. They can't
No.
tell you truthfully what it is.
Hmm. I think as well, like exactly what you said there, when you go to a doctor, you say you have a mental health problem. I think there's a lot of people that, do see it as, oh, it's a problem, it can be fixed. I think mental health is more of a disease. You can go through your whole life having anxiety and depression, and there is not really a cure for it as such. You just learn how to cope, and I think that's where a lot of judgment comes from, is people say, oh, this person's got an issue, this
Mm,
person's got a problem with them, it's weird, or they don't understand it, when actually it's a disease. Like, we don't ask to feel like this, you know what I mean?
yeah, it happens, isn't it? I'm
Hmm.
still on like antidepressant tablets, and it's not, you know, meant to it. People kind of like also kind of there's a big stigma around
Hmm.
mental illness too.
Yeah.
I've got groups like Never Give Up group. I've got stigma on Facebook. It's all these support groups, and the
Yeah.
trouble is, there's a lot of stigma. If you've been in hospital or if you've been through a mental health problem, they look at you and they think, "Oh, watch out! Here comes a mental case or whatever."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think, as you say, that the stigma behind somebody saying that they've got mental health is so big that a lot of people don't tell anybody. I unfortunately lost a friend to suicide last year. And none. She didn't tell any of us that she was struggling. I mean, I spoke to her the week before it all happened, and she said that she was fine. And I think it's because people are so scared of being judged by other people that they actually just stay quiet.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's kind of like when I went on to this morning, and I told them about it and I told them about what I was going through. You
Hmm.
know, I was glad that I told them because sometimes we got to share. Men, We got a
Yes.
support group. Men are more quieter about it because we think we're so macho, so
Yeah.
we don't really want to talk about it. Do you get me?
Yeah, of course. I think
But women,
again,
they come out with it. Women
yeah.
can come out with it, and that's fine. But men, they're thinking, yeah, I'm alright, Jack. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. I think again that kind of comes back to the whole idea of stigma. I have a lot of male friends that suffer with mental health probably worse than I do. And for a lot of my friends, like they've only just started opening up to me about it and how they feel. And I think when you go through it, they well, when you have friends that both suffer with mental health, I think it's a lot easier to open up because you know that that person understands on a more personal level rather than just reading up on something. And I think, yeah, you're right. A lot more men are committing suicide nowadays due to mental health, but nobody knows because they keep it quiet. And I think, we really need to raise awareness that it doesn't matter whether you're like a man, a woman, old, young, it doesn't matter if the way you're feeling is getting you so low, that you can't get out of bed every day or you don't want to see somebody. You really need to reach out to somebody.
I'm going to tell you something now. Where's it to? Where's the notes? 23,000 people actually committed suicide through the last 12 months
Wow.
during this COVID time. 23,000 people.
Yeah.
That is quite a lot, you know?
It's
23,000.
it's huge, and I think, for a lot of people, COVID's kind of hit in all different ways. So for me, I was a very sociable person. I saw hundreds of people at work every day. To then, I was actually lucky enough. I went to Dubai and New Zealand last year
All right.
before COVID hit, and got home after COVID hit.
Oh, that
And
was
I think
lucky.
it was lucky, but it was so bizarre. Like the place we left 2 weeks ago was now not the place that we were coming back to. And I had to come back and self-isolate for 2 weeks, which was so boring.
All
So
right.
boring. And then going into work and then turning around going, right, here's your laptop, you need to work from home. And it's now been over a year that I've been working from home. Um, so I think, it's affected a lot of people in different ways, but
Mm,
we're isolating everybody away from each other. I don't know how anybody expected it to go any differently.
mm, yeah. So when you kind of like what do you do for your job? May I ask?
Yeah, of course. So I work for Sky. I work in like customer service and stuff. So I speak to people a lot. Which is still good because obviously working from home, you're still getting to speak to people, but it's a completely different atmosphere. You're in a room with a laptop, with a headset on, with nobody around, compared to a contact center with like thousands of people speaking.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
horrible.
All right. I've got a Sky account. I've got Sky TV. Do I, do I get discount?
Oh well, we'll see. We'll see.
No, I'm only joking. But but the trouble is with like your job, and if you were in a big room with everybody else, it's pressured because people come ringing up all the time. They want Sky or there's something wrong with their box or whatever,
Yeah.
and it could be a really pressured job, can it?
It can be, I used to be in a sales department, whereas now I'm in a service, and it's kind of the same. To be fair, Sky is a really good company to work for with mental health. Like they are probably one of the best companies I've worked for. They have their own mental health ways that you can use. They've got counselors, they provide cognitive behavioral therapy. They have all of that. And in the time like last year, I ended up being off for like 2 months, and again a month this year. And every time that I've felt, I can't do this right now, they've always been there every step of the way, and it really has helped because a lot of people as well coming back to working with mental health, a
Yeah,
lot of people have the fear to
yeah,
take that time for themselves or to let people know because they think, oh, I'm going to get fired because of this. I had a lot of a lot of overthinking when I was off last year, and all I kept thinking was, oh, if I get sacked, like, what am I going to do? And it puts so much pressure on you to try and get yourself better before your body is ready and your mind is ready to. And I think people just have to realize that, you know, there is no time limit on getting yourself better.
Do you have children?
I don't at the moment.
Right. Okay. No, I'm just asking because some people at your age do have children and
Yes.
things like that. Why I mentioned that for? Because sometimes that can be really stressful too when you've got children, you know, and you know you've got the job going and you've got everything else going,
Yep.
plus your boyfriend, and you
Oh, I
know it's
completely take my hat off to people with kids and COVID.
yeah, it can be really stressful. When you kind of like so what do you do with your spare time then? Because you seem to know a lot about mental health. Do you do your
Yes.
podcast or do you?
So I haven't actually, this is the first podcast that I've ever been on just to try and get used to it. So, you
All
know,
right, okay, well done.
but with spare time, you know, I am one of those people, unfortunately, that can never really stick to the one thing. Like, I go through hundreds of things all the time.
Mm.
I'm doing a part-time uni course, which
All right.
again, kind of been struggling lately with a little bit of procrastination, which I really shouldn't be, but I do that. I learned how to knit, which makes a lot of people laugh, seeing as I'm only 22. But you know what? Just sitting there in silence, knitting for hours, like it just gets rid of the stress.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
Um, so yeah, so I do that. I do my uni course. I'm also reading a book at the moment that I was recommended by a counsellor last year.
Right.
That is really, really good. So I've been reading that as well to kind of keep myself, you know, motivated and positive at the moment.
Yeah, well done, well done. Many, I know somebody who is 19, no, 18, and she's in a good job. She's just bought a car for herself, and she's
Yeah.
doing quite well. But she's had mental health problems, and it's been really bad for her. It's
Yeah.
been really bad
Do,
time for her.
I think that's a big thing. Like, I've had this a lot because I've got a good job with good money, and, you know, I've got a roof over my head, and I've got this and I've got that. The amount of people that go, how are you depressed, or how are you anxious because you have everything going for you? The fact is if you're depressed and if you're anxious, you do not look at what you have, you look at what you haven't got. And
Mm,
I think that's a really, really hard thing to try and separate. You know, had this podcast 3 months ago, I would have been completely different, you know. And I ended up actually purchasing an online anxiety journal that is as simple as you print it out, you put it in a folder, and every single day you have to write one thing that you're grateful for. And you know, when you sit back, like the first couple of days, you're like, oh, it's really, really hard. Like, I can't think of anything. But as the kind of weeks come on, you actually find that there's more than one thing to be grateful for. Do you know what I mean? And
mm.
that really kind of helps you get into that mindset. Well, you know, what am I grateful for today? And I think a big one is actually just waking up. You
Mm.
know, that's such a big thing. And I think not enough people actually give themselves credit for getting out of bed.
Yeah, that's totally right. We do a program on a Monday, and with a counsellor who works for the BBC, and she and we were talking about sleep the other day. About sleep, and it's good for you to have some sleep and getting up in the mornings and freshen up and everything. It's good, and it's all about kind of like eating as well, part of your mental health, because you need. I think sometimes you need time for yourself too.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you don't want somebody coming around you all the time and give you an earache.
yeah. And you're spot on. Like, sometimes it is nice just to have time. And I think going back to what you were saying before with COVID, partners furloughed, kids in the house because no school. You literally do not get 5 minutes. I'm lucky
Mm.
enough that, you know, I don't have kids running around, but even
But you've got your
like,
boyfriend running around.
well, he is basically a child, yeah. But no, I actually found, like, it's so weird. Like, when you look for things, you actually find a lot more than what you'd expect. So um I had insomnia a few months ago, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to go on YouTube. I'll see what's there. And there's these they're literally 8 or 9 hour videos, and it's just affirmations, self-love or confidence.
Mm.
And the thing is that I don't think many people realize that even though you're asleep, your brain is still taking all that information in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. Of course it is. Yeah, we are. I think we're talking about dreams next Monday. When we're asleep, we have dreams and everything,
Yep.
and the trouble is sometimes with like anything, when what have you ever been to bed, right? And you're thinking, right, I'm stressed out. I don't really want to go to bed, but
Mm-hmm.
I've got to go to bed because you're tired. So
Yep.
you're in bed and you're worrying about something and you can't cope with it. You're getting up and down all the time out of bed, and
Mm-hmm.
probably put the kettle on or help yourself to a
You
drink
do
or
it.
something.
You do anything. Yeah, you do
Yeah, you do
anything to try
anything
and.
for that thought process to kind of like just get out of your head to go to bed. And
Yeah.
I remember someone who went through all that and they couldn't sleep, they couldn't do it. They were depressed, they were really down. And basically, one evening, she took a lot of tablets and she never woke up in the morning
Mm-hmm. I
because of
think.
all the stress.
Yeah, I think when before you go to sleep, I'm bad for it, right? I am really bad because as many 22-year-olds, I'm obsessed with my phone. And what was happening is every day before I was going to bed, I was spending half an hour, 2 hours on my phone, just scrolling through social media for hours and hours and hours.
Mm.
And you'd get to the point where you were tired, but then you'd be like, you'd start thinking about everything because you've been on
Yeah,
your
yeah,
phone and your brain's still active. It's not
yeah,
actually hit that, oh,
yeah,
we need to
yeah,
go to sleep now.
yeah. You do that, don't you? It happens, doesn't it?
Yep.
I've got some questions here from the radio site.
Mm-hmm.
It says here, "Hi Megan, thank you very much for coming on the stage program. Really enjoyed it. Can you tell me if what's it like working for Sky? I used to work for Sky, and it's really stressful. Do you ever get any sleep at night?
Yeah, so to answer the question, I love working for Sky. I've worked there for 4 years now. So I started quite young, and yes, I'm not going to sit here and say that it isn't stressful because every contact center that anybody works in is stressful. Do you know what I mean? We're all in a very hard time at the moment, and where we think, oh, like TV's not that important or broadband's not that important, this is people who are stuck at home with kids. Kids nowadays, unfortunately, are all about TV and internet. It's an
Mm,
unfortunate way that the kind of world's gone. Like I remember, playing cricket in the road with a wheelie bin till like 10
yeah,
o'clock
yeah.
at night. Um, but yeah, I think to kind of answer that question, everything in life is stressful. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm,
it's just how you deal with it.
mm, yeah. Well done. Um, Tracy wants to know. Hi, Megan. Nice to meet you. What do you do in your spare time? Do you ever go to the gym to get your stresses away, or do you kind of sit in front of a mirror and put makeup on like every other girl does?
Oh, that's brilliant. Right. Well, I wish I could say that I'm as good as most people going to the gym, but I really need to get back into the gym. I've not done it yet. Because
Uh,
obviously I'm up in Scotland. We're still technically just opening stuff up. And probably like a lot of people, I've gained a lot of lockdown weight just from
yeah, yeah,
snacking and being in the house, which, I think every gym everywhere is going to be jam packed until the summer.
yeah. Of
Um,
course, yeah.
but yes, to answer the makeup question, I do enjoy putting my makeup on. It's again, having that time to yourself. You get to separate. I tell my boyfriend to do one when I'm doing my hair and makeup, and it's 30, 40 minutes
Mm,
to just do what I want. But I think kind of coming back to that, like every other girl, I think there's a lot of pressure on girls my age and younger and even older to look a specific way with social media. So girls kind of do put their makeup on all the time because they see this picture on Instagram of this person looking absolutely stunning, and they go, oh well, they don't recognize that it's taken 2 or 3 hours to look like that. They just see it and they're like, oh, that person woke up like that, like I need to look at like that standard. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why a lot of us put our makeup on.
The trouble is, it's like you can't. With us oldies, it's a saying you can't keep up with the Joneses. Do you know what I'm on about that?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So really, it's just kind of like you can't do it. You're not going to be. You're not going to be like anybody else. At the end of the day, I say to people, be yourself.
Yeah.
That's all you've got to be. Doesn't matter about other people what they want to be. What really gets, I probably get told off for this, but like everybody knows me on the radio and on here. I'm a straight person, and what I do not like about women, I'm not women.
No, I get it. You can just say it as it is. It's fine.
It's when they do all these Botox and fake boobs. And,
yes.
And everything. I don't like that because I know they're trying to better themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But for God's sake, I think, I don't think a woman needs to do that.
Yeah, and I think, do you know what? It's funny that you say that because I am very, very self-conscious with some of my facial features, right? So I don't really like my nose, and I've always been picked on for my nose because it looks like a little piggy nose. So I hate my nose.
And
I just don't like it. I just don't like it. It's just, no, I feel like a little piggy. Okay. Anyway, and I don't like my lips because I always got bullied in school for having really, really thin lips. So, now that I'm older, I did say to my partner, oh, I'd like to get a nose job or I'd like to get my lips done. And he literally turned around and said to me, if you get any work done, I will break up with you. That is as simple as it is. Mm. And at the time, I was like, what a dick. And I was like, it's my body. I can do what I want. If I don't feel confident with how I look and I can change it, why wouldn't somebody support you? But I think the main thing behind guys is they don't actually say things right. They say it as they think it, which means that the women then get really frustrated. Whereas if they just said, listen, like you just did, you don't need that to look okay, we would take it completely different. Do you know what I mean? And it took me to come down from that level 10, like gonna kill him, to actually go, well, he said it wrong, but the meaning behind it is right.
Yeah. Well, after all, us men are right sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. But the trouble is, Sophie, I totally get it when people want to change.
Yeah.
Change themselves. But when they spend thousands of pounds on their face, and all that, I think, there's some sights you see, and it's really horrible, isn't it?
I think when it comes to plastic surgery, it kind of all comes back to what we see on social media nowadays. Because you know what I mean? Like I look at, for example, Jennifer Aniston, right? She is absolutely stunning. And she's like 50 odd, right? And I'm like, oh my God, like she's stunning. And at first, like I did, this is going to sound really bad, but I didn't look into it. I was like, oh, do you know what? She's really pretty for a 50-year-old woman. But then when you look at the background of it and you go, oh, Jennifer Aniston, there will always be an article that will say Jennifer Aniston, surgery. And there's always, if anyone's like me, I will click on that and then I'll be like, right, Botox, this. And all of a sudden, that facade that we see on social media disappears. And that's when I think, a lot of people my age look at Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner and they're like, oh my God, she's so pretty. And they are pretty. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not. But to get like that, they had to do a lot of changing. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. We need to try and separate what somebody looks like on a selfie on social media and what a normal person looks like.
The trouble is, Sophie, what I also don't like is when girls are going on the road, okay, they get their phone out and they got their hand up in the air and they go,
Yeah.
and they're getting their makeup out and everything else to get. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, oh my god, what you up to? You know what I mean?
Well, if it makes you feel better, right? Before I came on this, I finished work at 8 o'clock. I went for a shower and then I put a full face of makeup on because I would not come on here just out the shower. It's just the pressure that we feel like. Actually, like my mum, because I'm staying with my mum at the moment, because she needed help and things. She came in and she's like, Meg, it's 8:30. Like, why have you got a face full of makeup? And I'm like, because I've got this podcast and my face is going to be live. And, it's an automatic response that us women do.
Well, oh yeah, of course, yeah, I know what we're. No, my wife, she doesn't like makeup.
So some people are lucky enough not to like it. If I didn't like it, I would really like that because it would save me like 40 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, but the trouble is, so that's 40 minutes out of your life, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose when you think about it in the fact that, it's 40 minutes out of my life, brilliant. I look at it as I feel better in myself when I have makeup on,
Yeah, yeah,
so the 40
yeah.
minutes doesn't matter to me.
I remember going on to a site the other day, Facebook site, where
Hmm.
this woman I know her very well, and every time I go on there, the first thing she'll say is, "Do not take a pee." She say, right? And what
Right.
it is, what she does is teaches people how to put makeup on,
Hmm.
and how to do that. And I'm thinking, right, okay. And I go on there and I go, right. So what do you do with the blusher then? What part? And I just take a mick out of her. You know?
Well, I think when it comes to makeup, you guys don't actually know how much work goes into it. I think every guy just thinks, oh, she just puts something on a brush, and then that's it. It's really not, like, I'm not a kind of girl that will wear eyelashes, so I save myself a little bit of time not having to put eyelashes on. Because the one time I did put eyelashes on, I ended up stabbing myself in the eye. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go blind for some eyelashes.
Do you wear fake eyelashes?
No,
No, no.
no,
Or fake hair extensions and stuff like
no,
that.
no, never had hair extensions. Don't use eyelashes. Don't have nails. No, I don't
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, good. Um, when you kind of like s- what I'm kind of like mentioned about all the makeup and everything is because sometimes um men and women they like to groom themselves and they feel better, and it's good for their mental health,
Yeah, I think
right?
the whole thing for makeup for me is it puts a mask on, right? And that's what a lot of women will use makeup for, because if you see a woman well groomed, she looks pretty, her hair's done nicely, she's wearing really nice clothes, you wouldn't think anything's wrong, right?
Right.
If you go round, I'm not saying like if you go around with no makeup and like a baggy tracksuit, you're depressed, but if you go around and it's clear that you're not making an effort with yourself, a lot more people will start reacting to it. So
Right.
makeup for me was my mask as such. Nobody ever knew how I was feeling because I would cover it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see the point, but I couldn't see the point when they used to do it to my wife when before she went onto television. They used to be in the room and they used to put makeup on her, and she'd say, "No, no, I don't like makeup." It's not because she don't like makeup; she's allergic to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But but when she was dressed up and they did her hair for her, she was like, "Look, she looks lovely." I'm only saying that because she's here right now. But I've got to be careful what I'm saying. But she is. And the trouble is, sometimes we do kind of like want to be, you know, all groomed and everything else. I just said this now, and and you're saying about the mask now. Yeah, okay, put makeup on, but you know, and I know people. people say, yeah, I want to cover my face because it's not very good, but at the end of the day, I think just be yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's easy enough to say that. I think it takes you to have confidence in your own skin. So this is actually how bad it got at one point. See, about September last year, I was so low within my body confidence, everything, that I ended up having a really bad spending problem, to the fact that I actually spent 7 grand in the space of 6 months on clothes to make me feel better that I really didn't need, which again puts strain on the relationship because all this money is going out, all these packages are coming in, and it really didn't hit home until I saw my credit card statement. And I was like, right, from September last year till March this year, I've spent 7 grand and I have nothing to show for it. And, it's when you don't have that confidence in your own skin, you look for other ways to make yourself happy. And I think that's a
Yeah.
really sad thing.
Do you think that's part of your mental health?
I try not to put it as an excuse on mental health, if I'm honest, because, as I said before, my partner's not very understanding with it. So when he sees his packages, I had a lot of friends going, that is to do with your mental health because you're so depressed that I was somewhat excited to get a package. It was like Christmas. It was that euphoric feeling. Like if I knew I had a package coming through the door, I would feel like over the moon. The minute I didn't have one, I would just plummet. And my partner was like, oh, you're just using it as an excuse. Like, but the thing is a lot of people will try and find materialistic things to fill that void that they
Oh
have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like me when if I've got a package coming, I get excited. I think, oh god, hurry up with my package.
Yeah,
Hurry up. And when they don't come, then you're thinking, oh, okay.
yeah.
Then you find out it's not today, it's tomorrow or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like that would really like set off my anxiety, as stupid as that sounds. Like I was getting parcels every day, maybe 2 a day, 3 a day. Like it would go on, and not only was I spending on clothes, I was playing bingo all the time. I was playing, I am literally the worst person for bingo. Like I am really bad. I wouldn't say that I'm like a gambling addict who's put myself in £1,000 of debt, but I was putting money on like it was nothing. It was like a monopoly game to me. That was
Yeah.
all it was. I was just spending, 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 spending. Luckily, I didn't go to jail, but the income tax came and hit me pretty hard when I had to clear off my credit card.
I hope you're paying your credit card back now, are you?
Yeah. Do you know what the problem was? Is I was paying it every month. Like I wasn't gaining interest, but what would happen is, say I had like 2 grand on my credit card, I had to take out of my savings, pay the credit card, then I would have no money for the next month. So even to buy myself food or to pay the bills, it was on my credit card. So that meant the next month I had, and it was just a constant cycle until I was like, you know what?
Mm.
I need to stop. And it ended up like I'm literally sat with £5 in my bank until I get paid at the end of the month. And I'm telling myself, do you know what? I am really struggling right now. But once I get paid, it's gonna go back into a more stable and
Mm.
secure, with money in the bank.
Do you and your partner live together?
Yes, so there was a lot of issues very early on in the relationship. A lot of family issues. Unfortunately, we moved in extremely quick. We moved in together after 6 months being together, which takes away the whole fantasy of any kind of relationship. You don't date anymore. It's pretty much you're married, right? Um, and then we got our own place in December. We were living with his family for like a year and a half, and then got a flat together. And it's been extremely hard, extremely hard.
Yeah, because some young couples, they kind of like, they meet, they fall in love. I've been there, don't worry, I've been there. You know, you meet, you fall in love, then all of a sudden, I remember when I was 22, I got my first bed set. then you moved in with your girlfriend and things like that.
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden, all that love, the first
Disappears.
love,
Yeah.
disappears, and one person's on the one sofa, and the other person on the other sofa.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to mention this, but the reason that I'm at my mum's just now is me and my partner actually broke up last week because of the pressure and everything getting on top of each other and all the things that I've kind of mentioned, with the spending and it was all too much. And, it hurt at the time, but at the same time, like, it's kind of helped me to find myself again. Do you know what I mean? Even though I loved him to pieces, I was still hiding the pain that I was feeling because I was
Yeah.
scared of judgment. And I think once it was over, I felt like a big weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I no longer had to pretend like I was doing okay just so I didn't get nagged.
Actually, Marie says, "Hi Steve, how are you today? Brilliant show. Could you ask Megan about her relationship? What can you tell me what it is about?" All right, okay. So, how did you deal with the breakup? Did you feel suicidal when the breakup happened?
Um, no, actually, which is quite surprising. A lot of people have actually said that I've handled this breakup extremely maturely, and I think when you're with someone, I'm not gonna lie, I had this, I've been in love twice, both completely different, both not the best relationships to be in, right? The first one, he was too lovey-dovey, which set my expectations way too high, and the second one was not affectionate at all.
Hang
So
on for a second. You're just telling me you had a partner in the beginning who was all lovey-dovey. Isn't it
Mhm.
better to have a partner who's all lovey-dovey than not?
Yeah, so basically the first relationship I had was when I was 18. Very, very gullible child back then, I'll put it that way. Basically what happened is first love, you fall head over heels, you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
listen to
yeah.
anyone. And I think it was like 4 or 5 months in, I went on a girls' holiday with my friend because obviously 18, I thought it'd be great. All of a sudden, 3 a.m. one night, I get a message off this random girl, never heard of her, never met her, telling me that he had cheated on me. He had been sending sexual messages to her for months. He had, told her not to message him when he was with me, etc. So, I had to deal with that. But the gullible part of me was that I asked him about it, and as you can imagine, oh, I don't know her, I've never spoken to her, somebody's clearly like made a mistake, and me being gullible's accepted it, stayed with him for like a year later. And anybody who's kind of really been cheated on or anything like that, it will play over and over and over in your head, and you will never ever let it go. And it was the point that every argument we had, I would be like, "You're lying
Mm.
to me," you know what I mean? And I ended up actually having a break with him, sent him home because I moved up to Scotland at this point. He moved with me, but he lived in Manchester. Sent him home. I was absolutely heartbroken, being stupid again, being so young. I'm like, come back up, we can make it work. I just need to know the truth. And after a long year of living together, he turns around and says that he did do it and he did physical stuff too. And that was the line. Do you know what I mean? I was like, do you know what? At the time, I had just started Sky. I was getting a lot of male attention, which not the best. The piece of advice I'm giving here is no matter how much male attention you do not have a rebound after a breakup. It is the worst decision you will ever make in your life. Because once it finishes, you then have two breakups to deal with at the same time. So yeah, so the first one absolutely idolized me. Like, he worshipped the floor that I walked on. And the second one was the complete opposite. Like, the amount of arguments that we had because I felt like I wasn't getting enough love or affection. And
Mm.
he just basically turned around and was like, if I didn't love you, you wouldn't be here.
Mm. Yeah,
So yeah, not great.
yeah.
So I don't have
Um,
any relationship advice.
no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Rachel wants to know, Steve, thank you very much. Good news about your podcast going well. I see that you're fifth now in the podcast charts on the radio. Um, Megan is really good. Can you have her back? Um, we usually do with all our guests. We usually ask them to come back. Yes, we do. Um, Final question. You know when you kind of like been going through because you're saying that you had two breakups.
Hmm.
How have you dealt with that? Because sometimes when you got a kind of like a good job with Sky and
Hmm.
everything's going for you, and all of a sudden you're at work and it must be going around in your head and everything about these relationships.
Yeah. So the problem was as I said to you before, I had a month off of work due to mental health. Unfortunately, the timing of the breakup wasn't the best because it was actually the when I finished work at 8 o'clock. He called me at 9 o'clock and ended it the first day that I was back in work, right? Which is the worst timing, right? And it it put me to the floor, to the fact that I cried all night, which you all do because you're heartbroken.
Yeah, yeah.
I woke up, actually went to work on the Tuesday, and I had to say to my manager, listen, I can't do this today. My head's not in it. I need to pack all of the stuff. I need to move back to my mum's. And, I had to actually have the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday off because my rota day off is a Thursday. So I ended up having all last week off because of it.
Mm,
And I think relationship breakups are really, really tough. It's practically a part of you is dying. That is the
mm.
best
Oh
way
yeah,
of
of
putting
course, yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um, but at the same time, it does hurt, but it's the right thing. Like I can already feel within myself that my anxiety is nowhere near as high with work because I've not got the stress of, oh, are we going to be talking today? Is there going to be an argument? Because you can't separate work and life when you're working from home, even though you try.
Mm,
The best bit of advice I would say is have your cry, get it out the way, and then sort that crown out and just get yourself back on your feet because it sounds really easy, but the one thing that's really been getting me through is what is the point in moping around, crying, making myself feel like rubbish when it's not going to change the outcome?
mm. Well, you're only 22.
Yeah,
You've got your rest of your life in front of you. There
exactly.
bound to be some nice people come up to you and go, "Hello, how are you?" You know,
Yes,
or somebody
yes.
at work at Sky might come up to you. You know, they must have nice, really nice men at Sky.
No
Just go,
comment.
just, just go up to him and go, "Hi."
Single. Single
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Say, I'm
Oh.
single, but can you put my Sky dish up for me? Come around,
Oh dear.
put my Sky dish up for me, and
Mm.
tune in my TV for me, please.
Oh, aye, yeah. The
It's all these,
famous one.
yeah, yeah, all these excuses, yeah, all these excuses. Megan, thanks very much for coming on.
Oh, no
Um,
worries. Thank you for having me.
that's okay, anytime. What we'll do is that what we'll have you to come back. I'll get my wife to kind of like try to book you in for another date and a time if that's all right with you.
Yeah, yeah, that's all good with
Yeah,
me.
because I think you're really good. Um, Put it this way, on our radio site at the moment, we got 4,000 listeners.
Wow. Thanks for
Yeah,
saying that when we've finished, because if you'd told me that at the beginning, I would have been a stuttering mess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we got four. We usually have more than that, but I don't know what's happened tonight, but we usually have more than that. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. I am now finished for the night. Don't forget tomorrow we've got four guests on tomorrow. Four. Another night of really, really good entertainment as well. And also thank you for your support. And don't forget, look up the podcast charts. We're number 5. 1 minute we were around about 1,000 something, and now we're number 5. Thank you very much for all your support. Megan, I will see you again.
Yep. See you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.